I am Bear Clan. I am a Longhouse person. That's my faith, my belief. And I'm also a crisis counselor at this shelter, Red Cedars Women's Shelter. What do? I do all kinds of things. I help people who want to engage in their own personal wellness and healing. So I don't like to call it counseling because I don't see it like that. I see it as just engagement with a person to be able to help them understand who they are. I have abilities and gifts, I guess, to be able to help give perspective to abuse and trauma and pain, and to be able to tie that in with cultural practices of healing. And I assist women in understanding the patterns and the abuses of family violence, and help for them to understand that they don't deserve to live that way, and that to give tools and understanding how to have self-worth and confidence and all those types of things to break those patterns. I've always been a helper. I've always had a desire to fix things, I guess, or find a solution to something. And I was raised with a knowledge to know responsibility and accountability, and that there's a specific way that you're to conduct yourself as a person. I never really knew what I wanted to do in terms of specific field, but I knew that I could help. Prior to my education, I had a role within my Longhouse community, of just being that person that people would come to me and ask me my advice and what do you think, and that kind of thing. So, and then it was just said to me, why don't you go to school and go into social work? And in my opinion, social work to me, I don't know why I related it this way, but I always did as the children's aid. I always thought social work was just the children's aid, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that, because my perception was is those people come and take children out of your home and you never see them again, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be a part of that at all. So I had some learning to do on my own to understand the difference of what social service work was. But I still didn't do it right away. I waited until my youngest son was born, and then I went back to school as an adult, and went into post-secondary, went to college, and then I went to university. In learning education that way, because I was raised in my community and I was raised amongst traditional people, I felt that I had the best of both worlds. To understand mainstream, but also to have the understanding of education of life from the other side, right? So that gave me an understanding of what kind of helper I was going to be, and I knew that I had to work on myself. If I was going to work with anybody, I had to deal with the things that I carried growing up in my life. So it helped me to understand. It helped me to understand those things, and then get the education piece, and then I was able to move forward. So I've just always been working with people, but over specifically a job came available here, and I thought, yeah, why not? Let's try that. I haven't done that before, just working with women in abuse. At that first level, right? At that first contact crisis. So it's just something that I never did before, and I thought I'm up for the challenge, and let's see where we can go from there. Our mandate is to protect women and children who are fleeing domestic abuse. And then once we get them in here, protection and safety security is what we do. And those teaching tools about herself, how to break family violence patterns. Some are successful, some are not, but it's about planting seeds and, hoping that, she can make that change. We do sweat lodge ceremony. Unfortunately, due to the time that we're in now with this pandemic, we can't do those things. But we would do that, use a sweat lodge ceremony to do an unburdening process. And then again, it's to have that connection. So as an Indigenous worldview, more specifically Mohawk worldview, is our connection to creation, and to understand that all of our elements of creation and human being are a connection, and that there's a role and a responsibility. And so when you are a victim of abuse, you don't remember those things, and the things that come over you through trauma is fear and anxiety and disconnection. So what we do here is implement that connection again. Even just in our interaction as women, we have a role and a responsibility to one another and to her children. So our practice through Haudenosaunee culture is relationship, right? And the responsibility that we have to one another, and then utilizing practice, fires and circles and, talking circles, unburdening circles, moon lodge ceremony. We don't do a lot of ceremonial things here, but we could. And if we had a client came in who she's familiar with those things and asked for them, we absolutely could do those things. We have the connections in our community, and plus myself, I have all that knowledge as well. So in the beginning, it really is about that connection of trust, right? And to be able to do that, we can do the opening address with them, take them outside and just be amongst the trees. There's something about being out on the land for any human being that they can find a calm for a minute, right? Something amongst creation can get your attention. And so we utilize that to be able to find that place of calm and bring that place of safety and trust. Yeah, and then we begin the healing work. There needs to be more education around domestic violence because it's family. It's not just a man and a woman. It's anybody in a relationship of your life, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your brother, your sister. Family violence affects us all. We're family. So there needs to be more education and more resources available for self-help programs, right? Like where people can go and learn for a period of time how to have those things that they've been deficient from, because behavior is learned. So if you grow up in a home and every day you see your mother hit your father or your father hit your mother, vice versa, you're going to believe that that's normal and that's okay until it becomes to your attention that it's not. But if you've lived that way, sooner than later, and it's never been corrected or brought to the attention, you're going to repeat those things, right? So we have to educate more. We need to teach our children. We need to teach ourselves. We need to overcome those unresolved things that we've all grown up with to be able to find peace in our heart and be able to live peacefully, right? And teach our children about that relationship again and roles and responsibilities and not be so cold and hurtful because we're hurt. Hurt people. And until we can get those messages across that you don't have to hurt your own self and therefore you don't have to perpetrate hurt onto someone else. Healing work is about going back. You need to go back to the beginning, being able to understand you as your holistic self, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And then what do you need to fill those things and have a balance and maintain peace?